Hey, this is SonicBoom94, and this is the third part of my Spider-Man Reign review. I've already covered the first two, and now it's time for issue 3, where we discover more than one truth in this very, very dark Dark Knight Returns knockoff. Previously on Spider-Man Reign, Spider-Man had given up his alter ego for 10 years after his wife Mary Jane died, and apparently New York has turned into a dickish fascist state, with its Mayor Waters, designing a program called the Web, allowing him to make sure the city is not able to be penetrated or able to be evacuated. Unfortunately, J. Jonah Jameson, who had been a bit of a hermit and ranting lunatic, reveals that he knows about Spidey's alter ego and gives him a black mask so that he can fight back. Luckily, Spider-Man is unable to, continue his career and attempts to escape the city. Unfortunately, a load of Reign guards, Reign being the police state, end up attacking Peter's apartment, who ends up being Spider-Man, kicks Reign guards' asses, but then the Sinister-Six, who are basically 6 evil supervillains working for Waters, end up beating the crap out of Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets saved by Doc Ock, wait, what the hell, and is given to the graves of his loved ones. Are you confused? Well, don't worry, look past other reviews and everything will be clear. We start off our issue with Doc Ock digging a grave that we don't really know whose it is, but hey, he's digging stuff. We hear Peter Parker's narration. Mary Jane, Aunt May, Uncle Ben, I couldn't save any of you. Never had the power. Never could handle the responsibility. Okay, that's a bit of a contradiction. There's the whole with great power comes great responsibility thing, but if you have no power, you have no responsibility with which to handle it. I know this has been used throughout the mini-series, but please, it's not that good. Anyway, Peter's not looking very so well, bloody, beaten, battered, right next to his Uncle Ben's grave. When I'm buried beside you, will you tell me why you lied to me? Lied? Oh, that makes no sense. Oh, Peter, I think you've gone senile. We then cut to Mayor Waters' area, with J. Jonah Jameson being handled by 2 Reign guards and his assistant, Edward Sachs. For an old tomcat, you are quite the troublemaker, Jameson. Why come down from the mountain? Just to spook the cattle? It appears Mr. Jameson has a bad heart, sir. That it? Some last kick at the can before you're dead? And Jameson act like, well, how he's been the last couple of issues. I owe this city something. And Waters reveals that, hey, he runs the Daily Bugle news channel and that he's the voice of the city now. And Jameson says, that I owe the city nothing more than to cut its throat. Then, not a good idea when your enemy has a knife. Hey, and that's his idea. He's gonna try and kill Jameson. Oh, more Jameson rantings. I know who you are. And get this, we get narration from Jameson. The razor cuts through tendons. 3 of my fingers go dead. Then he said it's worth it, and then using the razor, he says, show them! Show your city the truth! And he cuts Waters' throat. But he's surprised that there's blood coming out of his throat. What do you expect when you cut someone? And, hey, he's stunned. Or does he look like he's about to have a heart attack? Then Edward Sachs comes along. Mr. Jameson. And then Jameson plunges the razor through him and... the hell? Black. Oh dear. I don't get this. And then Jameson realizes that he's the person he should have been razoring in the first place, saying, there you are. Quite. Unfortunately, before he can do anything, Jameson realizes that he plunged the razor so deep into Sachs that Sachs now use whatever black stuff to keep him in place. He's got me now. It's only a matter of time. My patience for this behavior is wearing thin. We then cut back to Peter in the graveyard. And Doc Ock's tentacles surround Peter and grab him. Spider-Man. And then Peter realizes that he recognizes the voice. Oh gee, I wonder who it could be. But he notices that it sounds older. Like it's on an old tape recording. Doc Ock talks about how he and Spider-Man are brothers due to the fact that they gained their powers through radiation. And yeah, he realised that unfortunately, as he was getting older, that things weren't exactly going all peachy for the whole superhero supervillain stuff. So he sent his tentacles, called his 4 sons, to find Spider-Man in case he went off and not did his superhero stuff. You know, this makes me wonder, considering how Peter's got to be in his 60s, I wonder what Doc Ock looks like. Ah! What the? Yeah, he's dead. Wow. Yeah. Originally, the fat git is now just bones. What the hell is with his eyes? I mean, I know that Doc Ock has goggles and sunglasses, anything to cover up his eyes. But what is this? It looks like someone took a trip into 3D land or got high or something. Ugh. Imagine that being blown up to the size of your laptop screen and shoved in your face. Ugh. And then, what does the now dead Doc Ock show? Mary Jane! Wow. So, let me get this straight. Doc Ock knows who Peter is, and how do the tentacles know? Are they sentient? Do they have Doc Ock's brain? Do they? We never get an answer for that. Okay, one thing I just find weird is that if you look back through the previous issues, Doc Ock, when obviously you don't see his closed up form, does look like he's actually the fat pudgy guy he was before. But yeah, you'd think that was the entire costume. No, I mean, you can see now that Doc Ock's costume is in bits and pieces. So why, for the sake of argument, did they make Doc Ock look fat? I don't know, maybe it's because to make sure that he doesn't look thin. You know, it's only a minor look at, but still, it's just worth pointing out. Okay, putting this minor plot hole aside, we cut to a flashback of about before Spider-Man retired. Actually, just before he retired. With Mary Jane lying in a hospital bed, with Spider-Man recounting the first day they met. And during all this and discussing his emotions, Peter realises that there's a siren going on. And so, he decides to don his mask and go on one last adventure. We then cut back to the present. This is actually a very good twist. I mean, here's what Peter says. The doctors didn't understand how it happened. How you would be poisoned with radioactivity. How your body slowly became riddled with cancer. I did. I am filled with radioactive blood. And not just blood. Every fluid. Touching me. Loving me. Loving me killed you. And then Mary Jane's corpse, in a bizarre hallucination, goes up to him, bites him in where? Bites his mouth? And then we see a ton of blood. I don't get this. Is this supposed to be his way of viewing Mary Jane getting revenge or stuff? Oh, and here's one thing I just find odd. I mean, look, I once said that I'd sooner rip out my still beating heart from my own chest before I ever hurt you. I'm a liar. No, you are not a liar. God damn it, what is it with this miniseries and people thinking that they're liars? Okay, you're not a liar if you did something that you didn't even know. Okay, if he knew that he would hurt her before making that statement, yeah, he'd be a liar. He's not a liar if he had done something after the promise done inadvertently. Okay, I'm going to brush that aside. In any case, the tentacles drag Mary Jane's rotting corpse back into its coffin, with Peter hallucinating that she's saying, "You never let me finish. I tried to tell you. Go get him, Tiger." Yes, Peter believes that these were Mary Jane's last words, and because, well, due to the fact that he had accidentally screwed her to death, that, yeah. Actually, it is quite interesting to see that, in a sense, Peter did kill Mary Jane. So, you can actually see the emotional tether between himself, his loved one, and his life as Spider-Man. How being Spider-Man, not just costume, but just being himself, had led to the death of Mary Jane. It's haunting, but at the same time, it just shows that, hey, he can't accept the fact that he had killed Mary Jane, even if it was an accident, and keeps hallucinating about her to try and ease his personal demons. Anyway, as Peter sees Mary Jane being dragged back to her coffin, he realises that there's something a bit of a strange question that's not going to be answered, and it's referring to Doc's tentacles. But how did they know what I buried with her in that coffin? And if you don't know what that is, well, we'll find out soon, but still, that's a plot hole that is never explained. We then cut to the pink-haired girl, sitting on top of a building, asking where Casey is. "Are you hurt?" "Of course you're hurt. What I mean to say is, are you..." And then talks about how, in Canada, his beanie would be called a toupee. "Did you know that?" "Probably. You're smart. For a boy." Isn't that adorable? She's sexist. And also, could she not see how in the last issue he got fucking impaled by a machete by Craven the Hunter? Or was it a knife? In any case, the kid got impaled. Badly. Heck, Spider-Man had to stop his fight with the Rain Guards, which is awesome, because he saw the kid with a bloody shirt. And then she, for some reason, connects it to a joke that her dad told her mum about two hunters in the woods. They find a bear who chases them, and one keeps running past the second hunter who says, "You can't outrun the bear," but the first one says, "No, but I can outrun you." Eh? In any case, she says that even ski masks, which is one that she's wearing, are a bit of a no-no in the city. And again, she has to say she doesn't like boys. And she says, "I'm better at running than anyone. Too bad you couldn't keep up." Okay, nice to see that she is able to explain how she's a good runner, even though the only instance we saw of her running is in the beginning of the first issue, but otherwise, no, haven't seen her. And really, how can you put that joke in with her talking about her and Casey? It doesn't make sense. We now go to the Daily Bugle news broadcast featuring that ridiculous Jimmy Olsen lookalike and his female cohort talking about the whole, well, issue 2 Spider-Man vs. Rain Guards and Sin 6 being a terrorist attack. Again, like we need reminding. And again, they talk about, Ed Sachs puts up the web saying how it's a great way to protect the city, blah blah blah, next scene. And now we see Mayor Waters getting his wound treated by a doctor and a nurse. And Jameson pretty much asks as to what the heck took him over to side with Sachs, who, as we can see, is clearly the antagonist of this miniseries. And here is Waters' reply. "I'm doing what's best for everyone. Just like my daddy told me." Oh, please don't tell me he has issues. Oh well, never mind, they're not brought up anyway. I am no shepherd. Yours too. Someone has to be responsible for this city. He'll smother us all. Rape our souls. Wow, I never thought I'd see the word rape in the Spider-Man comic. And you're damn right. You will be responsible. Please, I know this is Spider-Man and one of the most important recurring phrases is with great power comes great responsibility, but we don't need it crammed in our mouths and shoved down our throats like this. Clearly, this is just getting too repetitive. Why don't you just replace every single word in this issue with the word responsible? That's what it's like. Edward Sachs, in a nice silhouette and open door, appears. Mr. Jameson. Mr. Anderson. Would you please leave Mr. Waters alone? He's got quite the nasty cut. Why, I hate to think what could have happened if he had actually severed his carotid artery. So, how long have you known? Yes, so Jameson pretty much knows that someone was a big mastermind, but he didn't know for sure that it was Sachs. He had to, like any old newspaper guy, check the facts before being certain. And unfortunately, oh dear, black slime appears down Eddie Sachs' face. And yeah, bit of an obvious hint as to who this guy is when he says stuff like this. Newsman? Even back then, you treated Eddie like garbage. You remember Eddie, right? He's still a part of me. I've helped him grow as a person, become a better man, but he remembers what you were. And Jameson goes through that god-awful slanting. Liar! Steak! Show me! Show us all! Oh, all right. I'm not sure if you know this by now, Spidey fan, but clearly this is Venom. Even the nurse is repulsed by this, saying, "My God!" And Venom's reply, everyone is pretty much shocked by this except for Jonah, saying, "Open your damn eyes, fools!" And then he absorbs everyone. He absorbs the nurse and the two rain guards, with Waters idiotically saying that they can work all this out.
Jonah's a bitch!
And Jonah pretty much says, "You've changed." And obviously Venom has to go into a brief monologue. And then Walters, being a complete dumbass and, well, not really the kind of villain you thought you'd see in issue 1, becomes a bit weakling and says that this isn't what we talked about. And then Venom just tells him to be quiet and activate phase 2. And Walters does, and yeah, he says, "Open the door." And then we cut to outside the news area where the web is being activated. And unfortunately, oh dear, it appears we're being attacked by multiple Cloverfields. Take cover! Nah, I'm just kidding with you. What it really is Venom symbiotes! Venom symbiotes are arriving, attacking, eating people. Mish, mash, eat, chew, swallow, die, absorb. Yeah, things aren't looking good for New York at the moment. We then cut back to the pink-haired girl, wondering about whether Cassie would be an angel or not, and then she's immediately attacked by a Venom symbiote. And luckily she manages to fall onto the ground on top of a few garbage cans. What's not fortunate about this is that there's a Venom symbiote right behind her. She points out how she's a good runner and starts running away. Along the way, going past a few people who get absorbed by the symbiotes. Man.
Ow! It bited my leg!
They're going... She keeps running, and more running. Eventually she enters the church, where everyone is wondering what the heck is going on. And one guy asks where Jonah is, and I have to admit, the artwork in this panel on the pink-haired girl is odd. It looks like she's afraid of just looking at the side of the sky, rather than the monsters that are here.
Jonah's still a bitch!
And guess what happens to them? That's right, they're absorbed too. The pink-haired girl pointing out how she can only outrun men and she can never look back. Again, man, hardcore. the Sandman and his Rain Guard troops are protecting the tower in order to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands in case any opposition would try and use it to prevent the symbiotes from taking over and killing most of the population. One Rain Guard is horrified by this, but the Sandman tells it to stay down. Even the mother and her kid are killed by the symbiotes, and this proves too much for one guard. I mean, God, you've got symbiotes absorbing and killing people, and it's a mother and child shown in one bound to show how terrifying this is. Talk about dark. The Rain Guard, who can't take any of this, runs off, but is actually killed by one of his own men because the punishment for desertion is death. They haven't been doing that since World War One. So, yeah, Water is a dick for having to place death by desertion like that. And, despite the chaos, the Sandman reassures it that everything is under control and that they are saving lives, as the Sandman puts it. And the last bit of that scene shows a dummy on the floor. Obviously, the New York is in shits. Our next scene has Peter walking over to the coffin, monologuing to himself about everything will end and that he's going to where he belongs. He says, "His life for mine. All your lives for mine. Not exactly a fair trade, but it was never my barter. I've put this off long enough. I'm going home." Oh dear. So, if you have any idea what he means, then yeah, it looks like this is the end. Water, Jonah and Venom survey the chaos that's going over in New York City. Waters again tries to act as if what he's doing is right and that he's saving lives. And the artwork on Venom is just, well, look at it. I mean, I have to admit, very creepy, and the size of it, just shows how much power he has under that huge size. And okay, this one between, where he's right between Water and Jonah, and you can clearly see the spider tattoo on his chest. That just, I mean, I'm not calling it creepy, but it just feels off and slightly out of place compared to the other pieces of artwork of him on this scene. Jonah pretty much says that what Waters is saying is completely bullshit, and he says that you're making a deal with the devil. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's that bad. I mean, Peter would make a deal with the devil in one more day, and look how that turned out. This is not so bad. No, wait, well, at least with what Waters was doing, it didn't involve a huge supernatural evil. Instead, it was an alien evil. And plus, Mephisto could alter reality, Venom could not. Still, New York's in a bit of a mess. And again, we have that stupid recurrence about responsibility. Look, I'm not saying that the idea of responsibility being cut and pasted into every single thing is annoying, but they just keep bragging on it. Every single thing is really starting to get on my nerves. You hear it in issue 1, you hear it in issue 2, issue 3. This will never end. And, yeah, Water says, I'm taking responsibility. Please, please, if I ever see another take on responsibility, I am going to scream my arse off and go insane. And now we're back to Pink Hair Girl, who's still running away from the Venom symbiotes. And yeah, she goes on, blah, 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 going on about her monologue, saying, run, 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 and calling herself a selfish little girl. I mean, okay, yeah, I can see where she's coming from, given the fact she had to run to survive, but then again, it's a situation where you have to run, and yeah, it's either run or face certain death. In any case, look at this symbiote. I see this, and it just reminds me of William Birkin as the final boss in Resident Evil 2. She keeps running and running and running. She grabs a pipe and begins to hit the bells, resulting in dong, 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 and pretty much allowing people to survive as the Venom symbiotes start to go. The girl was able to rally up the remaining kids and pretty much gives them a speech about how, well, since Mayor Waters is pretty much killing them in this sense due to having coercively worked with Venom and resultingly sent all these symbiotes down there, screw it, we'll use masks. And yeah, she realizes, well, hey, we'll use the bells to save this city. We'll don masks, and hell, we're gonna get rid of them somehow. And then we cut to Mayor's office in in just one panel, and which, what? Okay, yeah, I understand about Venom's silhouette to the wall, but why is there a space where his eyes are? That's just stupid. I mean, it's not like you could just, cast your shadow against the wall and you'll just see a space where your eyes are. That's just stupid. And then we see the Rain Guards up against looking at the symbiotes, and then we see the symbiotes in one panel, and this particular smug bastard here, as if to say, hehehe, I'm gonna kill you all. We have a huge panel of the Rain Tower, which takes about the space of, well, the entire page. And then we have another page which shows Peter is not actually planning on dying, and how he's concentrating in the coffin to be ready. And yeah, he's pretty much saying, well, someone shut up those bells. Yeah, I think if I kept having to hear the word dong in my comic, I'd be pretty much saying the same thing as well. And admittedly, I actually love this kind of artwork, which is only just there in that one bit. Just Peter. And it feels gravelly, it feels somewhat very darkish and toned-ish. And this one shot of him, with watery eyes and anger, it's just really good. I mean, you can see the kind of expressions he's got. He's angry, and he's just, wow. And for the fans of the old red, white and blue Spidey, here he is. And you're never going to believe what he is actually singing. Whenever there's a hang-up, wherever there's a bang-up, here comes the Spider-Man. That's right, he's singing the 1960s tune. That is meta on so many levels. Yeah, apparently he buried his original costume with Mary Jane. And then we cut to one of the final pages of this, where it shows, the hell? That's the full body of Venom? What the hell is that? That doesn't look like Eddie Brock / Venom in giant form. That looks like he absorbed that looks like he fused with the Juggernaut. I mean, seriously, why does his face look like it's just a great big dome? And look at the proportion of his hands. Now, okay, yeah, I understand he is pretty bloody big, but still, do you see how? Compare this shot with the other panels that I've shown you of him. Okay, yeah, they're not full body, but they pretty much look different compared to this. Okay, I'm officially labeling this page Venom Juggernaut, because really, this is supposed to be Eddie, the Eddie version of Venom. Okay, yeah, it's a reference that, okay, you don't really know whether or not this is just Venom or Eddie and Venom, but there's implication that it is Eddie with Venom. But screw it, when I think of Venom, I pretty much think of, the 1990s version. He's big, he's bulky, but he's not anything like that. Anyway, moving on to the final page. In this final page, the pink-haired girl pretty much rings out that no one's going to stop them. Spider-Man looks on at the Rain Tower ominously, and the Sinister Six are going over, trying to look over and look out for Spider-Man, with Electro going, oh yes. Still sounding like he's having orgasms everywhere. The Sandman issuing lethal force, and despite Waters' claims, Jonah is pretty much saying that tonight's performance is about to begin. And so our comic ends with a to be continued attached. Oh yes, the finale is about to begin. And that, my friends, is Spider-Man Reign issue 3. How did it hold up? Well, apart from a few inconsistencies about Venom, as I just said a few seconds ago, and a few bits and pieces about the artwork, it is still very good. I mean, the idea of Peter being responsible for Mary Jane's death is really good. It just adds more weight as the whole, with great power comes great responsibility. Okay, yeah, I mean, he doesn't talk about responsibility, but at least it's not contrived like how it's been, for the past few times it has been mentioned. But despite this, it's a pretty okay issue. It is good. And prepare, true believers, for issue 4, the final one. I will complete by issue 4. One of my favourite miniseries. And so, fellow viewers and true believers, stay true. This is Sonic Boom 94 signing out.